Hi, I'm Mike Goldsby. In this video, we'll look at design skills and practices. Skills are abilities you develop as you practice something. The more you work at something, the more skilled you become. In this video, we'll look at skills you can develop in being a better designer. Practices are actions we repeatedly take to do something well. The better we become at our practice, the better we can achieve our desired outcome. In this case, that outcome is a good design. So we're going to look at the skills you need to do good design and the practices you'll do to achieve a design. Designers approach the world with a mindset of improving it in some way. One of the best ways to improve the world is to recognize problems that people have. It could be a customer problem, a societal problem, a creative problem, or even a personal problem. But whatever it is, the designer envisions a solution to implement. Before a designer can solve the problem, they need to understand more about the problem. We call this situation a problem space. We need to get facts around the problem. What do we think the problem is? What factors make up the problem? We can do this by answering questions about the problem. Who has this problem? Who impacts this problem? Who might have knowledge on this problem? When would we like to have the problem solved by? Where is the problem? How does the problem impact others? Why is this a problem for people? Why do we want to solve it? What would the world look like if the problem was solved? One of the reasons designers are so impactful in the world is that they can have a can-do attitude towards these problems. A lot of this has to do with how they see problems. Problems are situations where answers aren't clear and we have to create solutions. A problem is actually often like a puzzle that no one has solved yet. But sometimes others have provided solutions, but a designer thinks there can be an even better solution. The first step is to go with our intuition and recognize what the problem is, and then start trying to understand it better. We do this through research. And there are two types of research, secondary and primary. Secondary research is information on a problem that others have already put together, whereas primary research is original information you gather yourself. Both are helpful in understanding a problem, and will often mix the two together. We might even ask friends or experts on a subject if they have suggestions on who we could talk to or where we could go to get information we need. But here's some common ways we can do it. In primary research, much can be learned in doing it by modeling yourself after those who make a living at getting information. Sometimes you'll be like a reporter, gathering information from experts who help you put together the big picture about the problem and all its factors. You know, they kind of help you put together a story. And sometimes you'll be like a detective looking for clues and leads. Both a reporter and a detective keep doggedly pursuing information until they get enough facts to fully understand the situation they're curious about. In fact, you can learn a lot about research by watching good TV shows and movies about reporters and detectives. Another professional that is really good at getting information is an anthropologist. Anthropologists study people and the places where these people live. They get a lot of information and pull out interesting details about them. They see things other people don't see. They do this through developing good observational skills. They also interact well with the people and the cultures they immerse themselves in, and they document everything they come across. This approach takes time, but it uncovers interesting insights about the people they're studying. The field of anthropology developed many years ago by studying indigenous people in other countries. Anthropologists try to be open-minded and really understand what and why the people in those lands did the things they did, and how they lived their lives. Now designers use the same skills in learning more about people that inhabit the problem space they're curious about, and this could be even in the business world. Some designers have practically lived with families to understand how women shave their legs, or how children play with toys in their room. The insights designers get by doing this helps them to create new razors for women and furniture for children. An easy way to get primary research is to go on social media websites like Facebook and ask friends and family if they know of anyone they can talk to about the problem. Online communities are another great place to go on the internet. Getting into discussions with others interested in a topic can lead to great leads for you to pursue. Secondary research is another useful avenue to get information. Many people have already done the hard work to look at something. You just have to go find it. Places where you can find secondary research are websites like Google, Wikipedia, and YouTube. YouTube is especially good at helping you to learn from the best on a subject. In fact, I love to watch lectures and public talks from experts I've read about in magazines or books. If I read a magazine or a book and I come across an interesting person, I go look them up on YouTube and see if they have anything to say on video. Speaking of which, you should always read from a wide variety of magazines and books on a topic. So, our first skill we have to be a good designer is developing the ability to do good research. The more we know about a problem and the factors around that problem, the more we'll have to work with in designing a good solution. Our second design skill we have to develop is expression. We have to be able to take what is in our heads and express it so that others can understand what we're trying to do. When we can do that, we'll also get better feedback to work with. When we express something, we're taking it from outside our head and making it more real in the world. And that moves a project along. As long as it stays in my head, it's not moving forward in the world. Another way we can verbally express ourselves is with storytelling. We are social creatures, and we love stories. Good stories have adventure and excitement to them. They spice up life by having good guys and villains and unexpected turns and thrilling outcomes. Designers who can wrap a story around their ideas can draw others into wanting to know more about the design. Steve Jobs was famous for his speeches to his company and to others in the industry. He would have people sitting on the edge of their seats as he told stories about what was going to happen at Apple. He built anticipation by telling stories about their product development and what others were doing in the industry. And then he would reveal the company's latest, biggest releases. Steve Jobs' speeches became industry events. Another way you can express yourself is with pen and paper. Good writing skills and drawing skills are important for a designer. Writing clearly comes in handy with emails, letters, and reports for getting ideas across to others, but we also want to develop skills in capturing our ideas in notebooks too. If we don't write things down, we might forget them. Another important skill is drawing. You don't have to be an artist, but you need to be able to put your ideas in picture form. Humans are pattern thinkers and respond well to pictures. If you want to see a good example of how to write down your ideas and draw sketches about them, look up information on Leonardo da Vinci. You'll see great examples of how he took notes and drew out his ideas. This is a very important skill designers have to develop. The more you do this, the more you'll go from thinking about ideas to actually working on ideas. Another way we can express ourselves is by building physical objects. Construction skills are important to designers. They love to build things and show them to others. And it helps them to think about the idea too. It gives ideas shape and helps them to look it over from different angles. It also gives others a better idea of what they're working on. Many designers build prototypes of an idea. One good example here is the Super Soaker squirt gun. This is a great prototype. It was cheap and it expressed the basic physical properties of the gun and the general look of it. I bet some of you actually have this product at home. The finished product retained a lot of the details of the prototype, but if it wasn't well received, not much would have been lost. After all, the Super Soaker prototype was actually just plastic tubes and a 2-liter plastic soda bottle. Prototypes are an important step in getting us moving forward. David Kelly, the founder of IDEO, once said that prototypes are good at getting feedback because people love to tell you what's wrong with something, and getting feedback helps us to make changes we might not come up with otherwise. Another form of construction is mock-ups and models. Architects are famous for building models. They want to see a building in miniature before they build it to scale. Mock-ups and models can be made with cheap materials like paper, foam board, and cardboard. If you're thinking about building a restaurant, you might want to build some models of the layout. You can even build three-dimensional models pretty cheaply and easily with the latest software available to designers. It's pretty easy to learn. So that's our second design skill set, expression. The better you can develop skills in all these areas, the better you can express what you're thinking to others. Good designers, after all, are good communicators. And our third design skill today is creative thinking. Creative thinkers have the ability to see things in different ways than other people. They come up with more possibilities and make good decisions. They do this by developing 3 key thinking skills. The first is divergence. That means they're good at coming up with a lot of ideas. They do this by opening up to whatever comes up in the course of looking at something. When an idea comes up, no matter how crazy it may seem, they write it down. And then they wait for the next idea to come. And many ideas start coming once you get in the habit of writing things down. People who can diverge are open to what others have to say. And they know that a crazy idea may actually lead their brains in a new direction they haven't considered before. Once we have a lot of good ideas, we then have to select the ones we want to move forward. Good designers are divergent, but they are also good at making decisions. Design, requires making tough decisions. We call this creative thinking skill convergence. We can't do everything. The designer has to decide what is important to them and which option fits within their constraints and still gets the job done. But constraints are good. They help us narrow down a list and get moving forward. Otherwise, we might just spin our wheels wondering what to do. By understanding what really matters, designers can evaluate what the best option is. A third creative thinking skill is called deferral of judgment, which means we can consciously separate divergent and convergent thinking. There's a time for coming up with a lot of options and a time to make choices. Both help us come up with creative solutions, but we have to have the ability to separate the two types of thinking when needed. Our brain has the ability to come up with a lot of options and to make decisions, but when we consciously work on doing these skills better, we become better thinkers. So, in conclusion of this section, the three key design skills are research, expression, and creative thinking. You can work on being better at all three of these, and when you do, you'll become a better designer.